Well, good morning, or afternoon, or whenever you're watching this. Today we're going to continue on with our Scratch game, but just before we go into that, I want to just show you in Scratch here, you can always go up top here in the search bar, and you could always search for my channel, and it's Daniel Atkins with a capital D and a capital A, and the two words are together as one. And so if you do that, you should come up with all the games that I've made. And the main thing is that you can find the game that we're working on, which is, hopefully, I wonder if I've shared it. Huh, let me share that right now. So if I go to my games, and I go, oh yeah, I haven't shared it. So I'm going to go see inside, the platform racer. I'm going to share this. So up here there's an orange button here that I can share the game. So now that it's shared, if I go back, yeah, and I can say some things about it, but I'm not going to right now. Now if I go back to the platform, just the normal Scratch platform, and search for myself, it should show up here now. I hope. Well, maybe it takes a little bit to load. Anyway, it should work. Oh, man. Okay, anyway. I don't see it here. I see some other ones that I've shared in the past, but hopefully when you search for it, you find it here. The reason I tell you that is just so that if you are watching the video and you do it, or you have, especially if you have two screens for some reason, that would be a really nice way, is to have my video game up on one screen and yours on the other, and then you can easily, or more easily anyway, more easily follow along with what I'm doing. So let's go back here. I can move my screen down here for now. So let me just quickly review what we've done, just so you're on the same page as me. And then today I think we're going to create a car that can jump. Remember, this is a platform type game, so I think as it's scrolling to the side, we'll have the platforms jump, or sorry, platforms come, and you can jump on the different platforms to probably collect things, I don't know, like coins, or avoid things like walls or something like that. But we'll decide on, and feel free to make your own version of it as well. So today is going to be focused on jumping, and the exciting thing is we're going to learn about variables, and variables in coding are, I would say, one of the most powerful things to get good at and to learn about, and so we'll learn about those today. So let's just go quickly through the items here. For the driver, you should have this kind of code on there right now. Game logo, it just shows up. The ghost effect, again, is just giving it some effect, some animation. Here's the start menu. It shows up in the start screen. Same with the play button. And then the tree only shows up in level 1, and then this code here is made to make it scroll to the side and keep scrolling and picking random times for it to appear. And the same thing with the cloud. But the cloud we decided to change only by -2 as opposed to -10, and so it's slower as it goes across. And on the stage, you should have switching from your logo screen to start menu to level 1. Okay, so when we play this game, it should look, actually I'm going to turn the volume of that down because you might get some crazy reverb on that. You should have the start logo screen going into your start menu, and then into the game, and we put some sound effects for the engine. And there it is. Okay, the cloud goes slowly, the trees go fast. That gives it a bit of a 3D look to it. We could put more objects, more than just a tree and a cloud. And in the future, maybe the tree won't make any sense because we'll have platforms. So anyway, it's just getting us started. So today, it's all about, we're going to jump in the air and come back down. So we're going to have to simulate gravity a little bit here. You could make a jump where you just go up and then come down, but it's very it's not very satisfactory to or satisfying, I should say, to have a jump like that. It's nicer if it's more gradual, more used to more what you're used to seeing in everyday life when you, like, say, throw a ball up and watch it fall. So we're gonna start. Things are gonna start to get a little more busy in here. So I'm just rearranging this a little bit, and I might actually just scroll to the side here a little bit. So we need to decide on how we're going to control the jump. And if you go to events, not control, but go to events, and we're going to pick out when space key is pressed. Now, I'm not saying that the space key is what you're going to want for jump. You might want the up arrow, or you might want the W key or something else like that. But for now, we'll just use the space key. You know what? I have a feeling that I'm going to want the up arrow key myself. So you choose what you want. I'm going to pick the up arrow. So every time I press the up arrow, I want it to jump. Well, right now, when I press the up arrow, or when the up arrow key is pressed, nothing happens yet because I haven't put any code underneath it. So what exactly does it mean to jump in this program here? Well, I'm going to suggest that we are going to move. We're going to change in the Y direction in a positive way. So if we're not going to use this specific code, but or at least not quite like this. So if I click on this, though, you can see that the car goes up in the air. Okay, and then eventually we're going to want it to come back down. So if I make this change in a -10, put that on and click on, the car comes back down. But again, we don't want to just go click, click. It's not going to look very nice. We want it to be a little bit more smooth. And so we'll actually create something we're going to call, I think we'll call it drop speed. I think we'll try that name, see if you like it. And the drop speed, basically when it's not on the ground, this drop speed will keep speeding up. Kind of like how you keep speeding up when you, say, jump off something high. The acceleration, the force of gravity, or the acceleration of gravity, makes you speed up faster and faster. I guess I could just say speeds up. Acceleration stays constant, but you speed up until you hit terminal velocity. But in this case, we probably won't. Well, we might hit terminal velocity just for fun. Okay. Let's create a variable. So click on the variable tab. You'll notice there it says my variable and then all these things. We're actually going to go above that and say make a variable. If you click on that, it says new variable name, and I'm going to call this drop speed. Okay. So we're going to make this sprite make this variable for all sprites, and we're going to set the drop speed initially to 0 because we're going to start the game with the car on the ground. And then we actually need to determine when we want the drop speed to actually have a value. And I think that should be whenever we're not touching the ground. And in this case, it's the gray here, but we could try that when the car is not touching the gray. I don't know, there might be some gray in the cloud though, or there might actually, I'm not sure if there's gray in the wheels. Anyway, picking a color to reference is not the best idea, and we probably will change that, but for now, let's see if that works. So we're gonna go to control, and we're gonna just have an if else. If has a little space there, and then it says then, and then down after it else. If else statements are very common in coding. It basically says if there's some condition in here that we're going to put in there. If this condition is true, or if it's true, then we do this statement up here, like it follows this code. Otherwise, it'll follow this code. You'll never follow both codes. Otherwise, you just have both codes go one after the other. So for instance, if I put something like this, if I need a condition, so I'm actually going to use I'm going to use the sensing. We're going to go to touching color, and we're going to do touching color, and I can select, oh here, I got to move it up. I can select this little water drop thing here, and I can select the ground color, so it's gray. So if touching this color, and what's touching the color? Well, this car, we're on the driver, right? So if the car is touching gray, then change Y by 10, otherwise change Y by -10. So this is not the code again that we do, but this would be, if it's touching the gray, it would, which it is, then it would change Y by 10, so it would go up a little bit. And if I ran that again, it would go up and go up. But if it wasn't touching the gray, then it would go down. I don't know actually what this would do. I think it would. Let's try putting a forever around here and just see what happens. Yeah, so that's kind of what we want to do, but not exactly what we want. Now, if we did this down to 1, it might be a bit smoother. But again, it's still going to have this little bit of vibration. And actually, that's probably okay, because when the car is driving, that'll look like the engine's just moving. You're hitting a little bumps in the road or something like that. It's not ideal. It'd be nicer if it could just be rest, like just be smooth, and I'll show you how to do all that. So this is not exactly what we're going to do. All right. So I'm going to get rid of the forever for now. It'll come back though. So if touching gray, then we're going to go to variables. We're going to set drop speed to 0. So actually, instead of just changing the Y directly like this, we're actually going to use a drop speed. So right now, drop speed is 0. If it's touching the ground, we want to keep it 0, meaning we don't want. Drop speed is going to be a negative Y value, and so we don't want it to fall through the ground. Okay, but if it's not touching gray, so that's what we put here, then we want to actually change drop speed by, I'm going to say -1. Okay. Now that's only going to make it. Oh, and then at the end here, I guess I should show you why we're using drop speed. We're going to change Y by, for now, just drop speed, like this. And actually this code here, we want to do this many times, basically constantly. So we're going to repeat this. Not the setting it to drop speed 0, that's just an initial condition, but this whole if statement, including the change Y by drop speed, we want to do this forever. And actually, I'm noticing all this should not be under up arrow. We're going to do the up arrow pretty soon. This should all just be under when I receive level 1. Alright, sorry about that. Okay. So, yeah, hopefully, let's just see what this does here. So, did you see that? I'll put it up here in the air. If this program is run, this car will drop down to the ground. Okay, I can pick it up again. It's going to always drop to the ground here. Now you notice that sometimes it drops into the ground, especially if I have it really, oh, in the cloud. Apparently it can fly on the cloud too. So that's why the color is not really the best thing to use. You can see that sometimes it drops onto the ground just a little bit, and sometimes all the way into it. And that is not really what we want. But there'll be a little bit of that in our game, I think, anyway. There's a way to prevent that for sure. But we'll just see how much we fine tune. One way we can prevent that is prevent it from the drop speed getting too high. If you see up here, this variable here, it gets all the way to, I see like -53 in there. So the drop speed is getting really, you can say fast or large, and so -53 pixels would, if it's like say right here, and then it's at 53, the next jump would be down to here, and then it stops. So that's why we see these big jumps, especially when you drop it really high up in the air. It's more likely that it'll go all the way through the ground here. So we don't want that. And so we don't want to change drop speed by -1 forever. We want to create some sort of limit to that. So I'm actually going to go to Control, and we're going to bring in an if statement. Kind of running out of room here. I'm just going to move this over. I'm going to bring in an if statement, and I'm going to put this change drop speed by -1 inside the if statement. And what I'm going to check here is if the drop speed is, if it's greater than, say, -10, then keep making it larger in the negative direction. But if it's, say, -11, I don't want it to get bigger and bigger. I don't want it to go down to -53, for instance. So let's go to Variable. Let's bring out drop speed. Let's go to Operators, and let's bring out less than 50. So if drop speed is less than, and I'm going to try -10. So what would be less than -10? Well, -11, -12, all that kind of thing. Sorry, it should be less than, it should be greater than. Apologize. Get rid of less than. If it's greater than -10. So if it's -9, -8, -6, 0, which it normally is, then we change it by -1. But this will only run if it's in the air. So it's going to only have a drop speed. Right now the drop speed, let's see if I run this. So if I run it right now, you'll notice the drop speed is actually 0. But if I pick up the car, you'll notice that the drop speed, the max it gets to is -10. Oops, got a tree. Okay, so that's really good. You might think, well, so actually the -10 is, I guess, the terminal velocity. That's the velocity where the force of gravity is equal to the air resistance, the imaginary air resistance force. That's what happens when you jump out of a plane. You'll speed up until a certain point where the force underneath you is equal to the force of gravity pulling you down to the earth, and then you remain at that constant, very fast speed, but you don't keep speeding up. So it's the same sort of thing here that's happening. So it doesn't look too bad. Now the only thing is it looks like it's floating a little bit because we're used to cars not reaching terminal velocity this quickly. So we could actually change this. Maybe it'd be nicer to have, let's try -20. Let's just see how that looks. I think -10 is actually good, but let's just see what -20 does. So now you can see it can actually get to -20. It drops quite a bit faster. Yeah, it's not bad. Maybe I'll keep it that for now. We'll see. Later on, we'll get it kind of more of a sense if that's a good number or not. Now for the actual jump. Why are we using drop speed? Well, we're using drop speed because it's going to be, well, that's just to kind of simulate gravity, but it's going to be competing with the jump. Maybe we could call it jump speed. So let's create another variable. So go to Variables, click on Make Variable, and let's call it jump speed for all sprites. Yep. And let's again set jump speed. So I'll do it in the same thing here. Well, I guess it doesn't matter which one. Set jump speed to 0. Yep, that's good. And we're going to, when you click the up arrow, we're going to set jump speed to I'm just thinking this through in my head right now as we're doing this. Let's say jump speed to, let's say 30. Now let me just see if this is going to work. I might have to add something else. So change Y by drop speed plus. We need the plus sign is at the top of the operators. So go to operators, a green tab, click on the plus, bring drop speed over, and also go to variables and grab jump speed as well. So jump speed and drop speed should be fighting each other. Just see what happens. I have a bad feeling this is going to keep floating into the air when I click on the up arrow. So let me just see. Yeah, just gonna keep going up. So we don't want that. Oh, I know what we want. As soon as we jump, it's fine, but then we want to change jump speed. We want to bring it back down so that it doesn't stay like jumping up forever. Now I'm thinking here, because there's a couple ways we can do this, and one way will probably look a little more natural than others. So instead of set jump speed to 30, let's set jump speed to 30 here. And then instead of set jump speed to 30 here, let's get rid of that. Let's duplicate this bottom part here. Let's change Y by jump speed. Yes. And then here, just change Y by drop speed. This might be a nicer way to do it. Now, I'm going to just check it out. It might be also not so nice. It might be like quite abrupt, the jump. So let's just take a look here. This is one way to do it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to like the way it looks. Yeah, so it has a very abrupt kind of jump up. And then it falls to the ground. And actually, 30 is really low. If I made this, say, let's make it 100. Jump speed. Nice thing about variables is you can adjust them without changing all your code. You just adjust them where you need to, the value-wise, and then... Okay, I don't like this jump. It works, but it's too abrupt. It's like a teleportation, basically. So I'm not happy with that. Okay, I thought I could get away with that one, but I guess we're going to do it a slightly different way. So we're going to bring drop speed and jump speed back in here. And I am going to... we're going to change... we're going to... Ooh, I have a good way to make it so we don't double jump. Okay, we're going to take this when up arrow key is pressed out of here again. Sorry, I'm changing my mind halfway through, but I think it's going to be for the best here. So when I receive level 1, we'll want another one of those. Then we are going to control, we're going to bring on the forever loop, and we're going to bring in the repeat until loop. No, not that. Wait until. That is what we're going to bring in. And what are we going to wait until? We're going to wait until under sensing, you can actually sense to see what keys are being pressed. And so we're going to sense to bring in the key space pressed over here. And we're going to change that to up arrow for me anyway. You can have whatever jump function you want. So forever waiting until the up arrow is pressed. As soon as the up arrow is pressed, we're going to go to variables. We're going to change jump speed to this might do the same thing. I want it to slowly get the jump speed to get bigger and then drop again. So, but it doesn't have to take too long to do that. Let's try change jump speed by 5. Yeah, I'm starting to doubt whether this is going to look better or not. If it doesn't, I'll think about it over the next couple days, and we'll figure out something if we need to.